Day one of waking up in the body of a despised billionaire's trophy husband, and I was ready to either grovel on my knees or get kicked to the curb. At the breakfast table, my brother-in-law, Preston Sterling, dumped his leftovers into a designer dog bowl and slid it toward me. "You think you deserve a seat at the grown-ups table? Go eat with Baxter." I was just about to demonstrate the stoic endurance typical of a downtrodden son-in-law and maybe leverage it for a decent severance package, when my wife, Serena Sterling, who had been silently sipping her coffee, suddenly stood up. She grabbed the stainless steel dog bowl and, with the precision of a major league pitcher, launched it. Clang! It collided perfectly with Preston's forehead. Hot oatmeal dripped down his face. The dining room went dead silent. Serena wiped her hands on a napkin, her tone indifferent. "You think you're fit to feed the dog? Baxter has better table manners than you." The spoon in my hand trembled. Did I get the wrong script? After that, I tried to embrace the quiet quitting lifestyle, but my wife went full scorched earth. If Preston dared to glare at me, she'd backhand him across the face. "Your eyes look disrespectful. Let me fix your alignment." Living as a trophy husband in this timeline seemed to be costing my brother-in-law a lot of physical pain. After the dog bowl incident, the air in the dining room felt thick enough to cut with a knife. Preston, with sticky oatmeal matted in his hair, let out a squeal like a dying pig. "Serena, are you insane? You hit me." He jumped around, wiping his face as grains of oat and fruit fell from his hair. I took a deep breath, preparing to follow the standard procedure for a despised in-law. "Serena, don't be rash. It's my fault. I shouldn't have come to the table." I lower my head, feigning humility while mentally calculating how to ask for a fat divorce settlement. "Actually, I don't think we're a good match. The divorce papers." "Shut up." Serena cut me off coldly. The next second, her expression melted into a gentle smile as she used her chopsticks to place a prime rib onto my plate. "No talking while eating. Hubby, eat your meat." I looked at the rib, then at her, feeling like my brain was short-circuiting. "Hubby?" She used to call me by my full name, or simply "Hey you." Seeing this, Preston was so furious smoke practically poured from his ears. He pointed a shaking finger at my nose. "You useless freeloader. What kind of voodoo did you put on my sister?" He lunged forward to flip the table. Serena didn't even flinch. She just delivered a crisp, resounding slap. Smack! "Dad paid for this table. You're only qualified to flip yourself." Preston was stunned. Clutching his stinging face, he ran off with tears in his eyes to tattle to his mother. Mom, Serena's gone crazy. She hit me over an outsider." Soon, a woman dripping in jewels, my mother-in-law, Victoria, stormed in. "Serena, how could you hit your brother for this waste of space?" I thought, here we go, this is the part where I get evicted. But Serena struck first, looking at her mother with grave seriousness. "Mom, Preston was about to leak the company's latest confidential project to our competitors. I caught him just in time and taught him a lesson." This was a bold-faced lie. My eyes went wide, waiting for Victoria to call her out. Instead, Victoria's face went pale. She turned around and slapped Preston, who had just run to her side, even harder than Serena had. Smack! "You incompetent fool. Are you trying to destroy the Sterling family legacy?" Preston was completely bewildered, clutching both sides of his swollen face, unable to even cry. I silently shoveled rice into my mouth. This world was too surreal. That night, I tossed and turned in the king-size bed. Serena walked out of the bathroom in a cloud of steam. She sat on the edge of the bed, staring at me quietly. "Did I scare you today?" I shook my head and tentatively asked, "What's got into you?" She was silent for a moment before saying, "I just realized who truly treats me well." The statement came out of nowhere, leaving me confused. But I understood one thing. The divorce was off for now. This trophy husband gig might be humiliating, but the perks were undeniable. I just wondered what creative reason Preston would find to get beaten up tomorrow. The next day, I decided to fully commit to the slacker lifestyle. I slept in until the sun was high, then shuffled into the living room in my boxers and slippers, looking for food. I ran straight into Preston, who had brought a few of his frat boy friends home. Seeing my disheveled state, he immediately sneered. "Well, isn't it the Sterling family's big hero?" He drawled sarcastically. "Look at this loser. Eat, sleep, repeat. How is he different from a parasite?" His entourage laughed along. I yawned, too lazy to engage. As a professional slacker, emotional stability was key. I tried to bypass them to get to the kitchen when the click-clack of high heels echoed from the foyer. Serena was home early. She took one look at the living room, and her brow furrowed. "Preston, why are you screeching?" Preston's arrogance instantly deflated, but he tried to talk tough. "Sis, I'm just chatting with friends." Look at this loser wandering around the house. It's an eyesore. Serena kicked off her heels, slipped into house slippers, and walked steadily toward him. Who said you could make noise in this house? She stepped up to Preston and, without a word, kicked him hard in the shin. Arg! Preston yelped in pain. You woke your brother-in-law from his nap, Serena said icily. Me? Preston clutched his leg, protesting aggrievedly. He was already awake. He's standing right there. Smack. Another slap. Even if he's awake, you could startle him. Your decibel level is affecting the normal fluctuation of his brainwaves. I almost laughed out loud. Affecting brainwaves? That excuse was genius. Preston's friends were terrified, shrinking back like frightened turtles. Serena swept her gaze over them, a cold smile playing on her lips. Still not leaving? Want to test how sharp my new manicure is? She wiggled her fingers, painted a blood-red crimson. The guy scrambled out the door as if granted amnesty. Only Preston remained, standing there alone, furious but silent. Kneel down and mop the floor. Don't get up until I can see my reflection in it. Serena tossed a rag and bucket from the utility closet at his feet. Preston gritted his teeth but eventually knelt, reluctantly scrubbing the floor. I walked past him slowly with a fresh cup of tea. TSK, nice form. You can handle the rough housework from now on, I said breezily. Preston looked up, eyes spitting fire, teeth grinding. I could feel the flames of vengeance burning within him. Why did watching this feel better than slapping him myself? I sank comfortably into the sofa, watching my brother-in-law scrub the floor, pondering a philosophical question. Was I choosing to be a slacker, or was my wife forcing me to be one? Preston stayed quiet for 2 days, giving my ears a break. But then, an uninvited guest arrived. Preston's girlfriend, Tiffany Green. True to her name, in spirit at least, she looked innocent and pure, but her words were dripping with passive-aggressive toxicity. She arrived with bags of gifts, grabbing Serena's hand affectionately the moment she entered. Serena, long time no see, you're prettier than ever. Then she turned to me, a trace of disdain in her eyes. This must be the brother-in-law? You're so lucky, Jack. You don't have to do anything. Unlike my Preston, who works himself to the bone for the company every day. It's so hard on him. Praising her boyfriend while mocking me for being a freeloader. Before I could speak, Preston puffed out his chest proudly. I blew on my tea and replied lazily, yeah, you're right. I guess I was just born lucky, destined to be a kept man. I gave her a what are you going to do about it look. Tiffany choked on my shameless admission. It was like punching cotton. Her expression flickered. Then she put the sweet smile back on and turned to Serena to whine. Serena, look at Jack. Preston works so hard, and he doesn't even appreciate it. She was trying to drive a wedge between us. Serena was reviewing financial reports on the sofa. Hearing this, she slowly looked up. Her gaze bypassed the papers and landed coldly on Tiffany's face. You just said Preston works hard? Tiffany didn't understand the trap, but nodded vigorously. Yes, Serena. Preston tries so hard. Since it's so hard, Serena put down the report and stood up. Then he should quit. She shouted toward the kitchen. Preston, get your ass out here. Preston ran out happily, thinking he was getting a reward. Sis, what's up? Smack. A loud slap landed on his face. Both Preston and Tiffany were stunned. Sis, why did you hit me again? Tell your girlfriend to shut up. Serena pointed at Tiffany. Her voice is too loud. It's hurting my eyes. Tiffany was completely dumbfounded, covering her mouth. My voice. Hurt your eyes. Serena looked her up and down, explaining expressionlessly. Every time I see you two idiots, my eyes hurt. It's an occupational injury caused by visual pollution. Preston, as the party directly responsible for this workplace injury, you need to compensate me, Serena declared. Transfer $100,000 to your brother-in-law's account right now. Consider it damages for his emotional distress. Preston clutched his face, overwhelmed with grief and indignation. Why? Why do I have to pay when I'm the one getting hit? Serena stepped forward and kicked him in his other, uninjured shin. Because I'm your sister. Because your taste in women is hopelessly trash. This money is tuition for a lesson in judgment. Tiffany went pale, too terrified to utter a single syllable. My phone buzzed with a notification from a bank. Deposit received. $100,000. I looked at Serena. In my eyes, she was practically glowing. This wasn't just a wife. She was a walking ATM, and she only printed money for me. Soon, it was time for the matriarch's, Grandma Sterling's, 80th birthday gala. It was a massive event. The elite of the city and all the relatives were in attendance. As a live-in son-in-law, I had to attend. Preston had been holding back his rage for days, waiting to unleash it tonight. At the banquet, He approached me smugly, holding an exquisite wooden box. Jack, where did you get Grandma? Did you dig something out of a bargain bin again? His voice was loud, drawing the attention of the surrounding relatives. I hadn't prepared anything expensive, just a standard foot massager available at any department store. My role was the useless husband. Giving an expensive gift would break character. Just as I prepared to let them mock me, Preston suddenly yelled, "Ouch!" leaned sideways, and slammed into me. The wooden box in his hands hit the floor. Crash! The emerald jade Buddha inside shattered into pieces. Instantly, the hall went silent. Preston immediately launched into his performance, sitting on the floor and pointing at me, screaming, "Jack Dawson, what are you doing? Are you so jealous that my gift is better than yours that you push me?" He cradled the shards of the jade Buddha, crying as if his heart were broken. "I spent $5 million on this antique jade Buddha for Grandma, and you destroyed it." Accusations and looks of disdain flooded toward me. This son-in-law is garbage. He has no talent and can't stand to see others succeed. Exactly. $5 million. You could sell his organs and still not cover that. Serena needs to divorce him. Keeping him around is a disaster. Victoria's face turned iron gray, her eyes filled with disgust as she looked at me. I stood there, defenseless. Just as I was about to give up, a cold voice cut through the noise. "Everyone shut up." Serena, wearing a burgundy evening gown and 4-inch heels, clicked her way onto the stage. She looked like a queen in command. She walked over to Preston, bent down, and picked up a shard of the Buddha, examining it closely. Then, she let out a cold laugh, her voice amplified by the MC's microphone filling the banquet hall. $5 million? Preston, do you take the whole family for fools? You dare bring this glass craftwork $9.99 with free shipping from a discount app to deceive Grandma. Preston's crying stopped abruptly, his face draining of color. "Cease. You're lying. It's jade. Is it?" Serena jammed the sharp glass shard directly into Preston's palm and squeezed his hand shut. "Arg!" Preston screamed in agony as blood seeped through his fingers. Serena didn't even look at his bleeding hand. She just delivered a backhand slap. Smack! The force was enough to loosen his molars. The only sound in the hall was the echo of that slap. Serena held a microphone and addressed the guests, enunciating every word. "The massager Jack gave was chosen by me, sent on my instructions. It's the thought that counts. But you, Preston, brought a cheap glass fake to scam our elder, and when you broke it, you tried to frame your brother-in-law. The Sterling family face has been completely lost by you, disgraceful thing." She didn't give Preston any chance to argue. Smack! That slap is for disrespecting your elders and daring to frame your brother-in-law. Smack! That slap is for fraud and deception. Smack! That slap is because you're ugly and ruining the view. The crisp applause of palm against face formed a symphony in the hall, each strike accompanied by a deafening truth bomb. The relatives were too scared to breathe, staring dumbfounded at this warrior goddess of slaps. I stepped forward at the right moment, handing her a wet wipe. "Honey, does her hand hurt? Want to try a shoe sole next? More surface area, louder sound." Serena looked at me, her lips curling into a rare smile. As for Preston on the floor, he had suffered complete social death. I suddenly felt that being a pampered, useless husband wasn't so bad after all. After the birthday banquet, Serena's reputation as a crazy husband protector spread like wildfire. Preston was grounded for a few days, and when he got out, he blamed everything on me. He didn't dare trouble me in front of Serena, so he started pulling stunts behind the scenes. Within days, a deeply emotional essay began circulating on internal company forums and group chats. Title: Warning: The Son-in-Law Who Wants to Swallow Sterling Corp. The content painted me as an ambitious, calculating gold digger who had brainwashed Serena to seize the family assets. It was written so vividly, you'd think I spent my nights studying corporate equity structures. The way employees looked at me changed to disdain and suspicion. I didn't care. I wasn't planning on working anyway. But the news reached Serena. The next morning, she dragged me out of bed. "Come to the office with me." I rubbed my sleepy eyes. "Why? I don't even know where the front door is." "You'll see." Her tone brooked no argument. So, wearing casual clothes, I was dragged to the top-floor conference room of Sterling Corp. All the executives were present, sitting upright. Preston was there too, shooting me a provocative look with a smug grin. The executives eyed me with varying degrees of contempt. Serena pulled me directly to the CEO's chair at the head of the table. She pointed at the seat of power and said, "Hubby, sit here." I paused. "This isn't appropriate, is it?" "Nothing inappropriate about it." Serena's voice wasn't loud, but it carried clearly. I am the CEO. You are the CEO's husband. Rounding up, you are also the CEO. I had to admire that logic. The executives looked at each other, jaws dropping. Preston shot up from his chair, objecting passionately. Cease. Are you crazy? This is a company, not your house. How can you let an outsider sit there? Serena slowly turned her head and stared him down. You know this is a company? Then why are you playing video games during work hours, treating the office like your personal internet cafe? She signaled her secretary. The secretary immediately cast a file onto the large screen. It was full of screenshots and logs of Preston gaming, watching videos, and chatting during work hours. The evidence was irrefutable. Preston's face turned the color of a pig's liver. Serena announced coldly in front of everyone. Given Vice President Preston Sterling's appalling work attitude and lack of contribution, effective immediately, he is stripped of all positions. He is demoted to the logistics department, responsible for cleaning all toilets in the building, to experience life and build character. The conference room was dead silent. Sitting in the corner, Tiffany Green, a lowly admin assistant, looked terrified and opened her mouth to plead. Serena's gaze swept over her. All right, Miss Green, as the vice president's better half, you can join him. Men and women working together makes the labor lighter. I spun around in the soft, comfortable CEO chair, looking at the dejected couple. Not long after, I saw Preston and Tiffany, each holding a mop and bucket, appearing at the conference room door. They had to start cleaning with the CEO's private restroom. I couldn't help it. I laughed out loud. This chair really was comfortable. I wondered if, while scrubbing toilets, they'd remember that essay they posted online. After being demoted to the janitor couple, Preston and Tiffany quieted down for a while. But a leopard doesn't change its spots. They soon came up with new nonsense. One day, while Serena was away on a business trip, only Victoria, myself, and the hard-luck couple fresh off their toilet scrubbing shift were home. I was watching TV in the living room when Preston suddenly rushed out, pointing at his face and screaming at me. Jack Dawson, how dare you hit me? I looked at him baffled. His eye was bruised purple, and there was a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. He looked like he'd been beaten, but I swore I hadn't touched a hair on his head. Immediately, Tiffany ran out crying, supporting the teetering Preston. Oh my God, how could you beat Preston so brutally just because Serena isn't home? He's your brother-in-law. Hearing the commotion, Victoria rushed out of her room. Seeing her precious son's tragic state, her heart broke instantly. She charged over, shoved me aside, and pointed a finger in my face, screaming, You ungrateful wolf! The Sterling family feeds and houses you, and you dare hit Preston. Get out of my house immediately. I realized what was happening. They were staging a self-injury act for my benefit. Just as I was about to explain, the sound of keys turning in the lock echoed. Serena was home early. She took in the chaotic scene instantly, her brow furrowing. Preston saw his savior and lunged toward her, wailing even louder. Cease. You're back. If you hadn't come home, this loser would have killed me. Serena walked up to him, crouched down, and inspected the wounds on his face. She even reached out and lightly rubbed the bruise on his eye socket. Then she stood up and asked expressionlessly, Jack did this. Yes, it was him. He has a heavy hand. Look, sis, I'm bleeding. Serena nodded, her tone calm. Jack usually can't even unscrew a bottle cap. If he beat you like this, you must be exceptionally weak. She paused, then shifted her tone. However, since you claim he hit you, if we don't substantiate this event, wouldn't we be falsely accusing your brother-in-law? I won't allow a miscarriage of justice in this house. The expression on Preston's face froze as a sense of foreboding washed over him. Cease. What are you doing? He backed away in terror. Serena looked around, her gaze landing on a decorative solid wood baseball bat in the corner. She walked over, picked it up, and weighed in her hand. Helping you fabricate the evidence. She walked toward Preston with a smile, but her eyes were freezing cold. Bear with it. I took anatomy as an elective in college. I know where to hit for maximum pain, but the medical report will only show minor blunt force trauma. Oh, help! Terrible screams echoed through the villa. Half an hour later, an ambulance wailed into the driveway. Preston was loaded onto a stretcher by two paramedics, his right leg in a cast, left arm bandaged, and a fake bruise on his face covered by a real one. As he was lifted into the ambulance, he sobbed to Serena, Sis, I was wrong. I'll never lie again. I stood by, leisurely peeling an orange and holding a slice to Serena's lips. Honey, your logic loop is flawless. I hereby name you the master of forensics. Serena chewed the orange and said faintly, "Dare to fray my husband? Breaking a leg is getting off light." Watching the ambulance drive away, I suddenly felt that life as a billionaire's son-in-law was getting more interesting by the day. Seeing the self-injury plot fail, Tiffany hatched another plan. One day, she rushed into the Sterling house holding a pregnancy test with 2 lines, beaming with joy. "Mrs. Sterling, Serena, I'm pregnant." Victoria, who was arranging flowers in the living room, dropped her shears and ran to support her. "Really? Tiffany, that's wonderful. The Sterling line finally has a successor." Preston followed behind her, looking smug, as if he had accomplished some great feat. "Sis, this is the eldest grandson of the Sterling family. As his aunt, shouldn't you show some appreciation?" Victoria immediately chimed in. Right. Serena, your brother's going to be a father now. Shouldn't you transfer some of your shares to him for formula money?" They were singing in harmony, aiming to force Serena to give up company equity. I sat on the sofa, glancing at Tiffany's flat stomach and her heavily made-up face. It was a waste of talent not to send her to Hollywood. Serena remained unusually calm. She slowly finished her tea before speaking. "Pregnant? That's good news." She set down her cup and turned to the butler. "Go get Dr. Pierce. Have him check the pulse of the future young mistress and prescribe something to stabilize the pregnancy." Dr. Pierce was a renowned specialist in traditional medicine and the family's trusted physician. His diagnostic skills were legendary. Hearing this, the smile on Tiffany's face froze. No need, Serena. I just came back from the hospital. The doctor said the baby is healthy." "That won't do," Serena said, her voice leaving no room for argument. "Dr. Pierce is Grandma's personal physician. We'll only be at ease if he checks you." On her signal, 2 burly bodyguards immediately flanked Tiffany. Tiffany panicked and refused to extend her arm. I'm a little tired. I want to go rest." "Hold her," Serena commanded coldly. The bodyguards pinned Tiffany's shoulders, rendering her immobile. Soon, the white-haired Dr. Pierce arrived with his medical bag. Under everyone's gaze, he placed 3 fingers on Tiffany's wrist. After closing his eyes in concentration for a moment, he opened them and frowned. Victoria asked nervously, "Dr. Pierce, how is it? Is it a boy?" Dr. Pierce shook his head, looking confused. "I don't detect a pregnancy pulse. However, judging by this pulse, the young lady seems to have just consumed at least 5 pounds of spicy crawfish, causing severe indigestion and chaotic chi flow." Silence descended on the room. Everyone's eyes glued themselves to Tiffany's stomach. Serena let out a cold laugh, stood up, and walked over to Tiffany. "Oh, so the Sterling family heir isn't a baby, but spicy crawfish." She picked up a fruit bowl from a coffee table, which happened to contain leftover crawfish shells. She picked one up and flicked it right into Preston's face. "Preston, you have unique tastes. Here, this is your child. Go ahead and bond with it." The oily shell smacked onto Preston's face. Shame and anger instantly overwhelmed him. He spun around and slapped the stunned Tiffany. "You slut! You dared to lie to me." The attempted coup instantly turned into a dog-eat-dog farce. I watched the scene, silently pouring Dr. Pierce a fresh cup of hot tea. In this day and age, even doctors need to be entertained. After the crawfish pregnancy incident, Preston and Tiffany became the laughingstock of the social circle. They added this debt to the growing tab they kept for me and Serena. A corner dog will jump a wall. A desperate rabbit will bite. They actually contacted a bitter rival of Sterling Corp to orchestrate a kidnapping. Of course, Preston didn't know the full plan. The target was supposed to be Serena. But that day, despite knowing Serena was a target, Preston, short-circuiting somewhere in his brain, insisted on taking Serena's flashy red sports car for a joyride. He dragged me, the annoying brother-in-law, along, intending to humiliate me on the road. Just as we hit the outskirts of the city, we were boxed in by several vans. I was blindfolded alongside Preston and dragged into an abandoned warehouse. The kidnapper ripped off our hoods, revealing a fierce face. "Call Serena Sterling. Prepare $50 million. 1 cent less, and prepare to collect bodies." Hearing this, instead of being scared, Preston shouted excitedly, "Yes, call my sister. I'm the only male heir. She'll definitely save me." He pointed at me and told the kidnapper, "As for this useless son-in-law, he isn't worth a dime. Just kill him. Save yourself some food." I looked at his stupidity and couldn't even summon the energy to be angry. The kidnapper dialed Serena and put on speaker. "Ms. Sterling, we have your brother and husband. If you want them alive, bring $50 million. There was silence on the other end for a few seconds, Then Serena's icy voice came through. 50 million? Done. Jack is worth 50 million. As for Preston, consider him the free gift with purchase. If you don't want him, toss him in the trash. Don't litter. Kidnapper. Preston. A deathly silence filled the warehouse. The kidnapper hung up and looked at Preston with deep sympathy. Buddy, your sister doesn't seem to love you very much. Preston's lip quivered, and he burst into a loud, wailing cry. The next few hours got weird. I started chatting with the head kidnapper, discussing everything from life philosophy to international politics. I even taught him how to use a trading app to buy index funds, advising him that kidnapping was high risk and he should follow my lead. Find a rich woman and quiet quit. The kidnapper felt I was his soulmate, a beacon of light in the underworld. He personally untied me and made me a bowl of instant beef noodles. Meanwhile, Preston, tied up in the corner like a hog, could only watch me eat with pleading eyes, smelling the aroma and crying harder. Just as I was about to become blood brothers with the kidnapper, bang, the warehouse door was kicked open. Serena rushed in with a team of black-clad security contractors. The kidnappers were subdued instantly. Serena rushed to me first, anxiously checking me over. Hubby, are you okay? Did they touch you? Is your manicure ruined? Confirming I was unharmed, she sighed in relief. Then she turned, walked over to Preston, who was being held down by security, and started kicking him in the ass. I told you not to run around. I told you not to take my car. Getting kidnapped. Wasting 50 million of my budget. As he was being led away by the police, the head kidnapper walked past Preston, patted his shoulder, and said earnestly, Brother, take my advice. Be a good person. I honestly think making license plates in prison might be safer than living in your house. Preston cried even harder. Watching this, I deeply understood that comparison is the thief of joy. After the kidnapping fiasco, I thought Preston would finally behave. But I underestimated his stupidity and malice. He and Tiffany actually conspired with the mastermind behind the kidnapping to hollow out Sterling Corp from the inside. Using his access, Preston stole the company's spare corporate seal and signed a massive loss-making contract that could bankrupt the family. Tiffany gloated to him. When Serena goes bankrupt, the whole Sterling estate will be ours. Then we'll see how arrogant Jack Dawson is. I overheard their plot by accident. My heart sank. Sterling Corp was finished. Did that mean my days of eating soft rice were over? No way. My wife couldn't suffer. Late that night, while Serena was asleep, I quietly packed a small bag. Then, from under the mattress, I pulled out a bank book I had hidden for a long time. It contained every penny of my allowance and savings from the past year. A grand total of $5,000. I shook Serena awake, shoved the bank book in her hand, and looked at her solemnly. Honey, the company is going under. This is my entire fortune. Let's run away. Don't worry, even if I have to sell hot dogs on the street, I can support you. Serena looked at the bank book, then at my sincere face. Her usually icy eyes suddenly glistened with tears. It was the first time I'd seen her look so soft and vulnerable. She suddenly hugged me, burying her face in my chest, her voice choked with emotion. You idiot. Who said we're running away? The next day, Sterling Corp held an emergency board meeting. Preston brought the representative from the rival company and openly attacked during the meeting, slapping the loss-making contract onto the table. Serena, your mismanagement has led the company into massive debt. You must resign. The directors were in a panic. The atmosphere was suffocating. I stood behind Serena, my palms sweating. Serena, however, was strangely calm. She stood up, walked to the front, and projected a document onto the big screen. Directors, please look. On the screen was a forensic report. The seal Preston used was one I carved out of a potato for fun days ago. The real corporate seal has been with me the whole time. She pulled the real seal from her bag and showed everyone. Therefore, legally speaking, this contract is void. Preston and the representatives' faces went white instantly. No, impossible. Serena's lips curled into a cold sneer as she continued. Furthermore, Apex International, the company you signed with, is a shell company I registered 3 months ago. The legal representative is me. I set this trap to catch the mole in the company and sweep up those plotting against the Sterling family in one go. As her voice fell, the conference room doors opened. A group of uniformed officers walked in. Preston Sterling, Tiffany Green, and you, sir, you are suspected of embezzlement, commercial fraud, and forgery. Please come with us. Cold handcuffs clicked onto Preston and Tiffany's wrists. As they were led away, Serena walked up to Preston and gently straightened his messy collar. Preston, reform yourself inside. Be obedient. The food isn't great, but it's free and unlimited. She turned, walked back to me, took my arm, and smiled like a queen who had won the ultimate victory. Looking at this woman who commanded the room with such decisiveness, I suddenly felt that my $5,000 in savings was a bit embarrassing to bring up. Once the dust settled, the house finally returned to peace. Preston and Tiffany were sentenced to heavy prison terms due to the massive amount of money involved. Victoria, unable to handle the shock, was sent by Serena to the country's most exclusive nursing home for total closed-off recuperation. Serena fully controlled Sterling Corp, becoming the undisputed queen of the business world. And I became the most steadfast loser behind her. On the night of the celebration dinner, Serena got drunk. She dropped her Ice Queen persona, holding me and crying like a wronged child. I held her, patting her back gently. "Honey, you were so cool today, but wasn't that too ruthless? He was your brother." In my arms, she mumbled drunkenly. "I had to be ruthless. If I wasn't, we would have died." Her voice was broken and sorrowful. In the last life, I was too soft-hearted. I gave the company to him, gave him everything. And the result? He and that bitch Tiffany used the seal I gave them to sign fake contracts, kill mom and dad, and hollowed out the company. I ended up kicked out of the house, dying miserably in the freezing rain on the street. It was so cold. I listened, my blood running cold, my heart feeling like it was being squeezed by an invisible hand. So that was it. That was why she acted so irrationally. Behind it lay a bloody truth. Back then, everyone spat on me, said I deserved it. Only you, the useless husband I kicked out, came back to collect my body. You even drove your car into Preston's to avenge me. We died together. Serena lifted her red-rimmed eyes, stroking my face with cold fingers. Jack Dawson, you are a fool. A complete and utter fool. So this time, it's my turn. I will block all the danger outside. I will personally send those wolves and leopards to hell. It doesn't matter if my hands get dirty. I want you to be clean, to stay a loser, to quiet quit for the rest of your life. Be the happiest Jack in the world. I couldn't hold it back anymore. I hugged her tightly, my heart aching to the point of suffocation. Honey, just as I was about to say something deeply moving, like I won't slack off anymore, I'll protect you, the person in my arms suddenly changed modes. She pushed me away, looking disgusted. No, you must slack off. She seemed half sober, her eyes regaining that domineering look. You look ugly when you try hard. I can't stand it. Me? All right then, can I have my emotion back? From then on, my life as a son-in-law entered a new realm. Preston and Tiffany were making license plates in prison, contributing to society. Victoria was enjoying quiet time. Serena ruled the business world, and I became the slacker king behind her. My daily life consisted of sleeping, gaming, watching TV, and researching lunch options. Occasionally, Serena would drag me to business galas on a whim. Whenever someone looked at me sideways, Serena would pull me to her side and announce to everyone, "Let me introduce you. This is my husband, Jack. His only talents are being handsome and slacking off." Gradually, I became famous in the circle. People no longer called me the useless son-in-law, but respectfully referred to me as the Trophy King. I even half-jokingly published a book titled The Slacker's Guide to Marrying Up, How to Train Your CEO Wife to Pamper You. Unexpectedly, it became a bestseller, hitting the top of the charts. Once, a financial magazine interviewed Serena. The host asked the question everyone was curious about. "Ms. Sterling, you are so exceptional. Why do you spoil Mr. Dawson so much? One might say it borders on drowning him with love." On the TV screen, Serena wore a sharp suit, but her eyes looking at the camera were filled with unprecedented tenderness. She smiled faintly, because in this world he was the only one who, when I had nothing and the whole world turned its back on me, was willing to take out a bank book with only $5,000 and say, "I'll sell hot dogs to support you." I sat on the sofa, watching her on TV, and couldn't help but smile. Just then, my wife's voice shouted from the kitchen. "Hubby, dinner is ready. Have you finished the dishes?" I immediately clicked off the TV and sprang from the sofa, trotting toward the kitchen. "Coming." "Yes, Madam CEO. Right away." Sunlight streamed through the window, warm and bright. Who says being a trophy husband can't be a righteous, blissful existence? Story complete.